Knee pain is often one of the biggest limiting factors into how high one can jump. Today, Connor's going to take us through his routine on how to counteract this.
So seeing as this is a knee-specific video, it's good to mention first that sled would be the first exercise I recommend going into. However, we already made a video on that a couple weeks ago, going into detail about how we go into the sled. So the next exercise would be the reverse step up. And the variation I'm showing today, it's referred to as the Poliquin step up, which gives you a heel elevation, which is going to make the exercise a little more knee-specific. And starting on flat ground is going to be the easiest as well. The better you get at this movement, the further forward you can reach this other heel. And then once you get to a point where you're reaching as far as you can and your ankle mobility is limited, you can start actually elevating by using some sort of box. If you have a staircase, that could work well too, but for safety, having a very sturdy and mobile box can help work very well. 6 inches is typically what we recommend. I know in the ATG programs, a 6-inch box, if you can do this for a number of reps, you're putting money into the bank for how strong your knees are in this short position. And what makes this a little bit different from the sled is it has that eccentric motion as well. As you know, in sled, it's just you're walking backwards. You're not going down, training this eccentric portion, which is very important when you're trying to absorb your own body weight. So that's why this is the first exercise, because it's short range still, but it adds in that eccentric portion that we're looking for when training the knees.
Makes sense. And I get this question a lot on the app. People see this and they think it's a variation of pistol squat, but pistol squat, you're shooting your glutes back. With this, what are you doing with your glutes when you do it?
Yeah, so with this, you're almost going to try and keep your spine erect. Your glutes are going to be contracted as well, so you're not shooting your glutes back, you're staying upright, and you're really putting all that weight with your knees over your toes. If you're going more like this, it's going to be more glute and hamstring, but we're really trying to keep the back straight to make this as knee dominant as you can and be pain-free as well. And then a standard I think is great for jumping is 100% of your body weight for 10 reps, which I can demo now. For reference, this took me, I'd say, 2 to 3 years to get to. But just like everyone else that should be doing these programs, I start with just my own body weight and build from there. You don't have to go too slow on these, but just have a nice and controlled tempo. And I think that's around 10 reps. And then you would obviously do that on both legs, but for the purpose of this video, just showing you what I would shoot for on the jumping would be 10 reps, 100% body weight. You can even go higher up in weight, but I honestly would just recommend controlling the weight even further and mastering that eccentric on the way down. That's where you're really going to make the most bang for your buck on this movement.
Got it. And obviously, if you feel pain with this weight or with this height, you just scale it back. Don't use weight. Go to maybe to dumbbells. If you feel pain with dumbbells, maybe reduce the height then, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's many different ways you can scale this. You could do the same weight and then maybe go down to 2 inches, or you could stay at the same height and reduce the weight by like 50%. The good thing is there's not a one-size-fits-all route of progression, but there's so many ways you can regress and progress this movement that anyone can see results from.
Good. All right, Connor, so you just showed us the step-ups, which is the short-range movement. Now you're going to get into the split squats, which is the long-range movement.
Yeah, that's right. And kind of opposite to the step-up, the higher your front foot, the easier it's going to be. So that's why you see the box significantly higher than what it was put at before. And this is a good starting point for a lot of people. Getting like, if you can see, my glute is completely on my heel. That's kind of the range that we're looking for. Really, it's hamstring the calf is what you're looking for. But
this is extra depth, though, like getting glutes to heel.
I'm really trying to get as much knee over toe as possible, which is why I also like using our ATG Buddy too. It does a really good job, one, making the exercise more knee dominant, but two, it unlocks so much range of motion that people can't typically get.
So if someone has ankle issues or ankle tightness, this right here would help, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said before, elevating your front foot will also help with that. You don't necessarily need an ATG Buddy, but I just think it does a really good job unlocking more range of motion. As you get better at this exercise, you can lower the box. So this is just before flat ground. People more realistically might go from like 12 inches to 10, like 2-inch increments, and it might take quite a bit of time, but that's totally fine. The main thing we're looking for here is getting full coverage and range of motion. So as you can see here, same range of motion, glute to heel. And doing this with a slow and controlled tempo as well. With more weight, it might be harder to control the tempo, but what I really focus on is just getting that contact with my hamstring to my lower leg.
And your chest also needs to be upright as you go down, right? You can't be leaned over.
Correct. Similar to the step up, you're going to want to stay upright as well.
And why is that?
Because if you lean more forward, it's just going to take a little bit pressure off the knees. It's going to go more into your lower back and posterior chain. So if I go like this, it's not wrong, but this is just way more knee focused.
You're also going to get that opposite hip flexor stretch as well,
correct.
right? Yeah.
And yeah, since the focus of this video is knee ability for jumping, I thought it would just be fitting to do the most knee focused version of all these exercises. And what I think is a good standard for this exercise as well is doing flat ground with 50% body weight. And as always, we're going for the perfect rep. So full coverage, slow controlled tempo, all the way down. So if you can see, exact same range of motion at the higher steps. Keeping that back leg elevated. If you're like this, as you can see right now, it's taking that stretch off the hip flexor.
So you're squeezing your glute then, right, to keep that leg off the ground?
Exactly. Slow and controlled tempo. So 2 more reps and then I'll be done here. But this should almost be, this is something I maintain, and I think it should be something that everyone strives for not just knee health, but just athletic ability. It's something that, it's not too challenging. I say that, this also took me a very long time, maybe 2 years to get to that ability. But once you have it, it's very easy to maintain if you just do it maybe once a week.
Yeah, it makes sense. So now we have the next exercise, which is the front squat. Now, we just did split squats, which is also a lower leg exercise and a squat exercise. Why is that second to the front squat?
So what I really like about the front squat, and which is why, in my opinion, it's the third variation, is because I'll just demo the split squat quickly. With a split squat, you're down here, you're getting that full range of motion still, but on the way up, your knees aren't staying over your toes all the way. You're going backwards. So this is a little bit more challenging, but actually the better you get at it. I'd say it's also easier to start the split squat. There's also still many variations to the front squat, but not as measurable as I'd say the split squat is. So when demoing the front squat, I think a really good first regression has some form of counterbalance. It'll take a little bit of pressure off your knees. So holding something right here or out in front of you does a good job to kind of let you sit back. As you see, my knees are not really that far over my toes because of the counterbalance. The better you get, you see how my knees shifted forward the closer I brought it to my body. It'll make it a more knee-focused exercise. After that, counterbalance. Let's say you get to a point where you're maybe totally fine doing that. You might add some load. We refer to this as a VMO squat, where you have the weight close to your body. We did this in last week's video. I have PTSD from that. Me doing 20 reps of VMO squats. And you see how now it's more knee focused.
Also, your chest is up and your elbows are fully off.
Yeah,
you don't want your elbows to rest, right?
Same principle.
Yeah.
Where if you're leaning more forward, it's going to take the work away from your knees. This is a very valuable exercise. Before even front squatting, I got really good at the VMO squat. And then a final progression I like to do, not as, I'd say, impressive as my other 2 exercises, but 100% body weight for 3 reps, but very slow and controlled, and with a slant board as well. Front squat already is a very knee-focused exercise, but with the slant board, it kind of takes that to a whole nother level.
Because your knees are pushed even more forward.
Exactly. So I'll demo that quickly. Slow, controlled tempo.
Nice. Good up. Good. One more. Nice.
So way tougher. But what we're focusing on, more than any of the other 2, is a super slow tempo on the exercise.
Connor, we have the last one, and just to make it really clear, this is not something that you should do in the program or in the programming, but something that is a result of you doing the programs and getting stronger through the exercises. So with that, Connor, you can take it away.
Before I get into this, I'm going to kind of give you an idea of why we train that outer range knee strength. I will say 99% of people will not need this to get their knees stronger. But if you're in a sport, any sport, and you're landing from a jump, you're going to want to have that ability to be in these positions and not hurt yourself. So this, as a reference, is how high I jump. But let's say I land and then I can't control my knees. I would totally break my ACL or hurt myself from doing something like that. So it is why I really like doing our next exercise, which is the sissy squat. You can also pair it with like a reverse Nordic, which is what I demoed right there. But just having that outer range knee strength totally reduces the risk of injury in your knees just from unavoidable situations. If you're landing from a jump and someone accidentally hits you in the air, you have no control in how you land. So being able to confront this at a gradient scale, I think really prepares you for life situations.
And what's this exercise right here that you're going to show?
So it's the KOT squat, knees over toes squat. And we could start with an elevation here. Doing this, it's when you do it at a higher range of motion, it's almost kind of similar to the reverse step up, but the more advanced you get at it, the lower you can put this platform. And as you can see, it's way more knee focused than any of the other exercises we've done so far. And when you get really good at it, you can just do your own body weight. And this is something I really like to control as well. Unavoidable tension, similar to the squat. So going very slow, keeping your spine erect, like what we did on all the other exercises so far, and controlling all the way down, and coming back up. That essentially is the KOT squat. Like I said before, most people will not need to do this to get healthier knees, but it's that 1% that can make or break maybe your career or making millions of dollars because you're an athlete that needs to be strong or resilient in these positions.
That makes total sense. And just like you mentioned before, knee focused with the step up, even sled, which we'll show a film of, split squat, front squat. And with this, your glutes are not shooting back. They're pushed out in front just like this because we want knee focused movements in these, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The goal behind this altogether is you can have your glute posterior chain focused work as well, but when we're tackling the knees, I'm trying to put everything into my knee training. So slant board, ATG buddy, making sure everything's in my favor for strengthening the knees as much as I can.
Good. Connor, I appreciate you taking us through this routine. I'm in the gym every single day, as are you, and I see you doing this every single day. For the end of this video, do you have any final remarks that you want to say to the camera?
I'd just say be patient with the training. It's not always going to be linear with how you progress on these movements. Sometimes you may find a point where it causes pain. Just regress the exercise a little bit. I promise that is the best way to go about it. Just be patient, mindful of how your body feels, and find that pain-free level on each of these movements. If you can do that and be consistent with it, you are in very good hands with your knees getting healthier and better.
Good. And actually, speaking of that, because I've been working the app for so many years and seeing members throughout the years asking this same question, and the question being, I can do these exercises. What if I'm in pain and I'm not loading weight? Will my vertical go down and will I get less athletic? When you see a question like that, what do you say to that?
So I'd say you should look long-term and how your body's going to feel. Don't go jumping if you're not feeling good. I never want to be in pain, but I'd rather have to take care of the pain within 3 months than do my dunk training and be in pain for the rest of my life. So you really should not concern yourself with getting a little bit less athletic. It'll come back if you do the things you did before that got you to that point. So really just take care of your body first, be healthy, and worry about that later. It's not a super big concern. I know many people myself that are concerned about getting less athletic from maybe detraining or having injuries. There's nothing worth more than your pain-free ability.
Exactly.
So yeah, just really take care of yourself, I'd say, is the most important thing.
And I always compare it to a house. If your foundation of your house is not strong, your house is going to crumble. Same thing with your body. If your knees are in pain, you have, calf pain, foot pain, knee pain, anything like that, your vertical may go up, somewhat from the exercises, but in the long run, you're going to be in pain and it's going to put you at more of an injury risk.
Absolutely. And we should just be living life. Jumping is freaking amazing, but it's not worth living a life full of misery for afterwards. I'm really focused on the long game of being able to do what I do 100% pain-free the rest of my life and just sticking to that route.
Good. Well, Connor, speaking of doing what you want to do and also doing what you do in the gym online, in our app, in the squat, load, jump, high section, we do have our jump programs, which include a lot of the exercise that Connor has showed us here. So I would recommend you go check it out, and you can sign up at atgonlinecoaching.com.